think the top thing that singers always need to be working on is how to express themselves as sincerely as possible, meaning what is really touching their hearts, what makes them want to get up in the morning. And that might be a certain repertoire, that might be an idea, that might be a certain skill set, even. But I think if we're going to grow as musicians, that's going to change over time. So at one moment, it might be, I just really, really want to master uh, this melody, difficult melody, or being able to improvise over this set of changes that's really difficult, or get a little bit of piano skills going so that I can accompany myself. Um, and another moment it might be, I just really want to find a new band and find people that I can work with that are going to take me to a new place. So I think that reassessment is a very individual thing. What I love about teaching is that I learned so much from my students. They're always introducing me to something that I had never considered or thought about. And, jazz is such a huge thing. And I think of jazz as being, as big as it can be, that it's looking with a fresh face at anything you're doing. And taking it on a little adventure. And so when I work with students, I have the great pleasure of uh, getting introduced to the adventures that they're having with music that maybe I'm not very familiar with, and then introducing them to things that I love and seeing how they fall in love with those things too. So it's a way two-way street for sure. I didn't. I sang before I could talk, and I always sang, but I didn't really get serious about it until I was 30. I didn't, put my lot into it and say this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I went to college and I was a Russian language and literature major, and I got my degree in that. And then I went to Boston and studied at Berkeley and started to do gigs, but I it wasn't until I fell in love with jazz, which wasn't a part of my childhood, that I decided, oh, I really want to do this, because there was a freedom and um, a creativity in it that I really resonated with. I didn't love classical music, and I didn't love musical theater. And the pop music that I enjoyed, I admired the composers and the writers, but I wasn't one. And so jazz, I think for me, was sort of a coward's way of composing, because I would just sort of play around with things so much that it was a world where making it my own and doing it my own way was considered to be how you were supposed to do it. And I didn't know there was such a thing as a child. So it was really jazz that turned me into a musician. Well, I'm working on a new album, which will be the second Paris Sessions album. I'm in Paris now with my husband, and we did an album about 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago. No more, 7 years ago, and was really a wonderful, intimate album with just guitar and Kevin Axt on bass guitar. And we're working on another one and getting the material together, and it's really a pleasure. And I'm also doing collaborations with different friends. I've got a recorded concert that I did with Tamir Hendelman that we took requests and recorded them, and I'll probably be doing some live streams from Paris as well. I'm spending a lot of my time these days doing work to heal the racial divide in this country and in the world, and that's kind of been a passion for many years actually. And I've had a group that a friend and I started, and of course that's attracted more interest of late. But it's a real passion to try to look at how the metaphor of jazz and music and having different voices heard properly, and understanding the contributions of African Americans. I mean, if you're a jazz musician and you don't understand the contribution of African Americans, you better go home. You know, it's a spiritual problem. It's not even a real thing,
Mhm.
but we really need different pathways to unite.